I guess let's get started right away. Hello, everybody. My name is Evgenia Marushko. I'm a recruiting professional at College Beast, where we help international athletes to get recruited to play college sports. And today we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Ayan Broomfield. Ayan graduated from UCLA, which stands for University of California, Los Angeles, with a major in business and women's studies. And I would say that just getting recruited to play college tennis in UCLA is a big achievement. But on top of that, during her time at UCLA, Ayan, first of all, you recorded a winning record, 81 matches that you won versus 41 lost ones. So it's a great percentage. Then Ayan also won the NCAA national tournament in doubles and ranked as high as number 2 in doubles in the country. So Ayan, it's a pleasure having you here. I'm sure that everybody's going to learn a ton from you today.
Thank you for having me. It should be fun.
Yeah. Well, so let's get started right away. My first question for you is just tell us how you managed to get recruited to UCLA. Like, how early in advance did you start talking to coaches? What was your ranking when you got recruited? Just tell us about that. And while you answer it, I'm just going to screen share and show some of the pictures.
Okay. Well, I actually didn't start at UCLA. I started at Clemson University. Ooh, that's pretty. I started at Clemson University, and I actually started really late in the process. So I think I was about 16, 17. I was, I think, 600 WTA singles and like 400 doubles, something like that. And I really, really just wanted to continue and go pro. I didn't really want to do the college thing. My sister had done it. I enjoyed going to her matches, but I just didn't think it was for me. I kind of wanted to like do my own thing. But I ended up getting injured. I tore my shoulder and I tore my shoulder, and my parents were like, we're going to school. So I started really, really late, and schools had reached out to me, but I didn't really take the time to look into too much of them. But my focus at that point was to find a school that wasn't in a big city. I thought that if I was going to a big city, I would lose focus. So I wanted to go somewhere kind of small and secluded. And I wanted to go somewhere that my family could visit. There wasn't a time change, something like that. So I ended up going to Clemson. I played there for 2 seasons. My first season, I absolutely loved. The only thing is I went in, I was playing the number 1 position. I did really well and everything was great. But after a while, I just felt like I started flatlining and I wasn't improving. So at that point, I spoke to friends and family and I decided to transfer. And when you transfer, they put you in this portal. And once you're in the portal, other coaches are allowed to speak to you. And at that point, a bunch of schools reached out and I looked at a couple of them. And then obviously UCLA reached out, and I spoke to Rance and Stella, the head coach and assistant coach there. And they were super, super like, no, just like straight to business. And I really liked it. Honestly, they said, look, like, you're going to come here and we're looking to a national championship. That's the goal. And that's what I wanted to do. So I made that transfer, went there, and the rest is history.
So you ended up going to a big school in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from a city. I'm from Toronto. So when I went to LA, I was kind of like, this is more my style, and I was a lot more comfortable. So I mean, I think starting later in the process made me think that I wanted one thing, but maybe if I had researched more and started earlier and it wasn't so rushed, I would have really truly understood that going to something that I'm completely not comfortable with just to try and like focus and lock in, it wasn't good for me. So I feel like everyone has to really take the time and start early, talk to a bunch of different schools, visit a bunch of different schools so you really understand what's for you, so you don't have the same issue that I ran into.
Yeah, your story sounds a little bit unorthodox. Usually I talk to college coaches, and right now it's 2021 and coaches are already messaging me, emailing me, and they're like, Evgenia, do you have any players for fall 2023?
Right.
And I'm like, I'm still doing 2022 recruiting.
Right.
it sounds like, the more prestigious the school is academically and athletically, the earlier they start the recruiting process.
They start the recruiting process super early. So I had schools reaching out to me, but because I was so set on just turning pro, I wasn't, responding and coming back, which was bad on my part. I should have, had I known before, I would have reached out and been on way more. I think I went on two or three visits. I would have gone on all the visits. If every school I would have went to, just to see and experience everything that they have to offer, because some of the schools are really, really amazing.
So I'm not sure if our viewers are familiar with the college visits. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like,
Yeah.
Is it sponsored? Do they pay for that? And what do you do during the official school visits?
Yes. So I'm from Canada. So I was an international student, and they give you a temporary visa. It's like a student visa. And it's for your whole tenure at that school. If you transfer school, you have to get a new visa. But you're allowed to be there. To my knowledge, you're not allowed to work. I think that was the one thing. You're not allowed to work, but you're allowed to be there and compete. I think for me, I got the visa, but I also got OPT. So after I graduated, they give you kind of another visa for like this year to see what else you wanted to do and kind of work at something else, volunteer, doesn't matter what it is, they give you a year for that. So but after that it expires, and then you gotta find a different visa. But yeah, it's really good, and they really help you. Like, some of the advisors will walk you through exactly what you need to do. Sometimes you need more stuff, sometimes you need less, depending on what country you're from, but they're really helpful with helping you out. If you're talking to a school, they'll definitely tell you everything that you need to know.
So being that you're from Canada, I imagine you didn't have to take the TOEFL test in order to get accepted to the university, but what SAT score did you have to have for your university?
So it's funny, I was thinking about it. I actually don't remember, because I did it really, 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 really late. So I think Clemson was like, you need to go get your SAT right now. My parents drove me like 5 hours to go write it. I just wrote it and I was like, okay. But yeah, I think there's a ratio that you definitely need to go into, and it also will depend on the school. So for example, if you're trying to get into an Ivy League, it's going to have to be pretty high, regardless of how good you are tennis wise, or how, your results, your SAT is going to have to be pretty high. Some other schools kind of value tennis a little bit more, and they kind of weigh it a little bit differently. But regardless, the better your grades are, the better and easier it is for the coaches to vouch for you, I guess, Yeah. And I guess for the English scores, everything is in English, and they do move fast paced. Even me, I am a native English speaker, and it was super fast paced, regardless of your major, regardless of what class, unless you're doing a language class. So I think they just want to make sure that you can hold your own, and they do help you if you need extra help. But yeah, they definitely want to make sure that you can, continue with the curriculum and that you're comfortable.
Well, I did actually look it up, and for UCLA, in order to get admitted to UCLA for international athletes, you guys would have to score TOEFL 100 or higher, and for SAT, it's 1300 or 1300 or higher. So yeah, I mean, I would say that on average, universities require TOEFL around 80 and SAT around 1100, but for, the biggest, most prestigious universities, you have to, yeah. And so, Ayan, once you got into UCLA, tell us a little bit about what did your typical day look like, and how many hours went towards school, how many hours went towards practice, and how did you manage to combine those?
Yeah, so I mean, pre-season, fall season, and spring season are two completely different things. So I would say in the fall season, it's a little harder. It's a little harder because they're trying to get you prepared for the regular season. So I would say, you come in after your summer break and you start, and let's say a week would look like Monday, you have a big group practice, maybe about 3 hours, and then you have your fitness, and then some type of recovery. You shower, you change, you eat quickly, and then you're off to your class. And maybe you have tutoring. Maybe they have tutoring late at night. Maybe it's an 8 p.m. tutoring. Sometimes it's a 10 p.m. tutoring. You don't really know. And then maybe you have, coaches meetings or meetings with your academic advisor throughout the day. So it's really, really packed. Then maybe on Tuesday, it's a little bit lighter. You have an individual or a lesson with a coach. So it's not as long. You maybe not have a long fitness, but the day is packed. It's not the easiest thing. You have to be very prepared, and you have to be very, very disciplined about getting your work done and being on time. I think that's one of the things that everywhere I've went or every coach I've spoken to, they're very, very punctual, and they're very, very on their student athletes about being on time. So you really have to make sure that you have your agenda book or your little planner, and you're sticking to it, because it's one thing after another. You finish after the day and you don't even have time to watch TV. You're just too tired. You just want to go to sleep. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty packed, but it is fun. It is fun.
So was there a limit of how many hours a week you guys could practice? I know it's usually 20 hours by NCAA, so it was the same for you guys.
Yeah, I think in the fall is it 8, and then spring, yeah, I think it was 20 hours. Sometimes it's 8. Sometimes when there's like a holiday or in the fall, sometimes it's 8 hours because the coaches can't be with you for a certain amount of time. But usually it's a 20-hour week. And sometimes your coach will use those 20 hours and really focus on fitness, or they'll use those 20 hours and really focus on tennis. But they can split it up however they see fit. But yeah, there is a limit after that, unless you personally ask for it. You can always do more. You can always, like, I remember a lot of the times if I wasn't feeling well or I wasn't playing well, I would go to my coach and ask for an extra, 30 minutes for focusing on a serve or focusing on volleys or something like that. So if it comes from you, you can do more than the 20 hours, but the limit is 20 if you don't ask for anything else.
So if you want, you can ask for an individual practice, or you can ask your teammates maybe together and play a little extra. So that's allowed.
Yes, you can do that, as long as it comes from you. It can't come from your coach.
And so obviously, being that UCLA is such a top school, many of my viewers, they wonder how exactly do you guys practice? Like, not hours wise, but is there anything special you guys do during practice that makes your team stand out so much from the rest?
You know what I've noticed? I wouldn't say that there's anything, in tennis, there's only so many things you can do. You do your warm up, you do your cross courts, you do your 2 cross 1 line, you do your little drills. But I think it's the top schools, it's the focus that they put into each drill and how hard they push you in each drill. So I remember at Clemson, if we were doing a drill like 2 cross 1 line, the standard of us, of the rally, is 6 to 10 balls. At UCLA, it has to be 10 to 20. They want you playing with more height. They want you more consistent. And it's just, they hold you to a higher standard with each individual drill. So I think that's the biggest standout between the lower teams and the higher teams. But yeah, I think it's just the level of standard that they hold to each thing, because obviously you have little drills that each coach does. So maybe if there's a team that they want you at the net more, they're a more aggressive team, or some teams they want you more defensively and they want you to kind of play higher over the net. So depending on how your coach wants to coach the team, obviously there's going to be different drills. But I think something that stands out is just the level of intensity and the focus that they hold you to, the level of it.
I bet your conditioning is pretty hardcore too.
Yeah, I was lucky because I really enjoy fitness. I enjoy running and working out, so I enjoyed it. But it's definitely, they definitely will push you hard. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They push you really hard. I know at Clemson, we had like a mile test. So before you come in the summer, they test you, or every school that I've been to, they all test your fitness level and the fitness scores before you come in. So you go home for summer break, you come back, within the first week, you're doing fitness testing. And if you're not at the level that they want you to be, you're either not playing or you're doing double fitness. So, and you'll do double fitness until your level's up there. So they're pretty hard on you about that. So I was always making sure that even when I went home for a break or just resting, I was always maintaining my fitness level. I mean, your tennis, it kind of be up and down, but your fitness level has to remain the same for sure.
Mm-hmm. And you briefly mentioned that, although your academics matter a lot and you have to study well while you're at the university and your English has to be good, my question was, is academics, what's more important that coaches look at when they're recruiting you? Are they mostly looking at your athletic level, or they're looking mostly to make sure that you're doing well academically, or are they looking at both? How does that work? And as far as the numbers on the team, how there's 6 players playing on the team, what number do coaches recruit? Like, do they recruit top 3 players for the team, or do they recruit lower as well? Can you just talk a little bit about that? Like, what do coaches look at when they recruit?
Right.
Yes.
So obviously your grades are going to help you a lot. If they don't have to worry about, and I don't even think it's as much about whether you're smart or not. I think also having good grades shows character. It shows that you care. It shows that you're, that you can maintain a schedule. It shows that, you can perform academically. So I think that's something that they look for score-wise, but also you as a person. Are you someone that cares? Are you someone that, is kind of just going through the motions? So that on the academic side. I think on the tennis side, what I've noticed is there are so many different things going on in these dual matches and these tennis matches. I don't think they're really looking for who has the prettiest forehand or who, at the end of the day, because it's not I don't think it's about talent really. I think a lot of the times you see girls that, went and played high levels ITF juniors, maybe played some of the slams, did really well, and kind of come into school with a little bit of a confidence, a cockiness. And then you have other girls that maybe didn't do as well, but are really, really, really driven and listen to the coaches and absorb and work hard. And you put them on a court and it's 3-3. Yeah, it's like, sorry, it's coming down to the last match to win the whole thing. And it's like, it's going to be whoever wants it more. It really doesn't matter. Because at this point, it evens out, your level evens out. So I think the biggest thing that you can show a college coach is your ability to fight and your competitiveness. I think that's what they look for, because they can help you they can help you technically, they can, help you strategically. I mean, that's one of the pros of college tennis. You have a coach on your court. So maybe if you don't maybe make the best decisions now, they will help you with that. But they want someone that's going to put themselves on the line, because at the end of the day, it could come down to your court and you could be down a set 4-0, but you are expected to give 110% to try and still win that match. There's no giving up. There's no, they don't accept it. They hold everybody accountable. So they're really, really, I know that was for me. A lot of the coaches for me said that what drew them to me was my heart and like how much I wanted it. Regardless if the person was better or worse, it's just wanting to win and that drive. So I think I wouldn't worry as much about results. As long as, you're not that type of person that's gonna tank or, give a 50%, because that's definitely what they're not looking for. But I think that's something that they definitely want to see is your ability to push through adversity, and they just want to see a competitor.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that too. Character matters for sure. But just to throw in some statistics in there. So when coaches are looking to add new players to the team, a lot of what they look at, aside from your character, aside from your matches results and your tennis video, what they look at is also your UTR. And I just want to point out that from my experience, coaches mostly are looking to recruit players who would play top 3 on their team based on the UTR, because they don't know the player yet, so it's hard for them to predict how the player is going to be playing, who are they going to be beating, what kind of level exactly they'll show. So they look at least at the numbers, what kind of UTR they have. And if your UTR fits in the top 3 on the team, then there's a good chance that the coach will be interested in your candidacy.
I think that's a good point, but I would also say that a lot of the times it also is game style. So I know that a lot of my coaches, they wanted maybe at the higher end of the lineup, someone with big weapons, Maybe she has a really big serve, she can get a little free points. And then a lot of the times lower in the lineup, they want someone that's solid, makes a lot of balls, kind of quick. So sometimes I think that they do look also at your playing style in terms of positioning, just so they can kind of even it out. But yes, I do completely agree. I don't think they had UTR when I was being recruited, but now it's definitely something that they take into consideration. It's probably the first thing that they do look at.
So when you were getting recruited, what did coaches look at? Did they look at your ITF or your video, or did they also go and see you play in person somewhere?
I had a few schools reach out, probably based off of results. But what really helped me was I played my Canadian Nationals, and I got to the finals of that tournament. There was a bunch of college recruits there. And then what really helped me was Orange Bowl. So I played Orange Bowl, junior Orange Bowl. There was a million coaches there. I competed really well. I fought really well. And after that, I had, a million schools. But that really helped. So I don't know if it's the same in Europe. I'm not sure about that. But I just remember, like, at the Nationals, there was a bunch of coaches. And then Orange Bowl, everywhere you look, there is a college coach, so that really helped a lot.
Yeah. To our European viewers, if you want to get noticed by the coaches, come play Orange Bowl. And another question that I got from our viewers was, were there full scholarships available in the UCLA? And I'm asking that because I know that at big Ivy League schools, they don't offer athletic scholarships. They offer financial aid. So at the big school as UCLA, do they offer athletic scholarships, and are they full, and how does that work?
Okay, so the NCAA has this, I think a couple years ago, it's a while ago. They had this rule, it's called Title IX. And what Title IX is it's trying to create equality between the men and the women. So to break it down, let's say, obviously there's no women's football. So a sport like football obviously is all male. And there are hundreds of scholarships that are given to the male football players. So to even that out, let's say there was 100 male scholarships that they gave out for football and basketball, they have to even that out with the women. So that helps sports like women's tennis, women's golf, swim and dive, those teams, because they're smaller. So there are more opportunities. So I would say about 95% of the schools can offer about 7 to 8 full scholarships for girls, which is really good. The guys, on the other hand, not so good. The guys, men's tennis is a lot, for NCAA is a lot tougher. I would say they offer maybe 1 or 2 full scholarships, if that. And then after that, it starts dropping down. So maybe they'll offer you 70%, 60%, 30%, which is normal. Even for someone that's really, really good, they just don't have the means for it. And football took all the scholarships. So but for girls, it's pretty good. And then, sorry, what was the last part of your question?
Oh yeah, that was mainly the question. Do they offer full athletic scholarships at UCLA?
Right. And then the Ivy Leagues, they provide financial assistance. I think, for example, I don't know exactly the number. It's like your household income is more than 200,000 or something like that, then you'll get a certain amount. If it's less than 50,000, it's a certain amount. But they'll work with you. They definitely will work with you, but they do not give full scholarships, regardless of how good you are, how talented you are. It's their rule. They just don't do it.
Yeah, definitely. That was my experience. If your family makes less than $200,000 a year in Ivy League, then they can offer you a nice, generous financial aid.
And then what sometimes happens is maybe they can provide you financial aid, but they can also, and this is where your academics come in, if your grades are high enough, you can apply for 2 scholarships. You can have the financial aid from the school, but you can also have an academic scholarships that will even be cheaper. So that's where it's really kind of like, you really want to have high grades so that you can be eligible for those other scholarships.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, if you're a girl with a character and a high UTR, then
Yeah.
the scholarship is in your pocket, basically.
Yeah.
And so, can you talk about how the competitions were run and how just overall how was off season different from in season, and which when did you have season, when did you have off season? Just talk
Right.
about that because our viewers have honestly no idea what's the difference and like
Okay.
the timing of that.
Okay. So most schools you come in about um, August or September. And from then, that point until January, it's all individual. So it's either your singles or doubles. In that period, that's where you really, really, really want to perform, because that's where the coaches are looking at who they're going to place in the lineup. That's where you have a potential to get your individual ranking, and the individual ranking will carry you throughout the year. So let's say, I think for individuals, if you're top 50 throughout the year, you'll make the end of the year tournament. So winning like a regional championship or beating ranked players in the fall really help your chances to play high in the lineup and to be able to make the end of the year tournament to be able to win NCAA. So you do your individual tournaments. Your coaches will watch, they'll be out there with you, and then you have your regional where you're playing. That's like kind of one of the bigger tournaments in your area. And if you win the regional or final the regional, then you go to fall nationals. It's not exactly the same as the regular NCAA championships, but it's still a really big deal. And you definitely want to get into that tournament, and that will really help your ranking. And you do well there, and your coach doesn't really have that choice; they have to play you high. So you want to do well at these tournaments, and really focus there. And then come January, you start team. That's when your mentality has to shift, because it's not really about you anymore; it's about the team win. So sometimes coaches will put you high in the lineup because you're playing well. Sometimes they'll stack you a little bit lower in the lineup because they want to make sure that you're in a really good situation to get a point for the team. And I think that's kind of the biggest mental switch for tennis players, because we're so used to individual and everything's about us. We go to a tournament, we only want to focus on us and what we need to do. But as soon as January comes, you have to really be about the team and help and making sure that everybody's good. And yeah, you want to be a leader on the team. So you're not just thinking about yourself anymore, you're thinking about everybody. And so you start with your dual matches where you're playing different teams, and your coach will have a schedule. Sometimes they'll schedule like on paper, like easier matches, but in college, there's no such thing. I promise you, the easier matches sometimes are the hardest because you're expected to win. And if you're at a kind of a top tier school, everyone's coming to try and beat you, which is like everything else in life. And yeah, so you definitely have to focus a lot for those. Then you start getting into your conference matches, and you definitely want to show up for those, because that's when you start playing against your own conference, and the better you do against them, the more wins you have a chance of winning your regular season. And then after that, you have postseason, and that's when you're chasing championships, and that's when your coaches start to get stressed, and finals are coming, and that's like a really, really stressful time. So you want to make sure that you're preparing, where your grades are good, because you don't want to be in a position where you need to get a certain grade on a certain exam. Then you can't focus on tennis because it's postseason and your coaches will be on you. So postseason is when you have your conference championships, and then you have your NCAA if your team or you individually make it. And then that's when you can, win championships. And yeah, I guess that's kind of it.
Yeah, and so for those who doesn't know what conferences are, so conference is a group that the different universities belong to based on their location and athletic levels, right? So you can't be in a conference with UCLA while your tennis level is weak. So conference divides universities into groups based on the athletic level and the location. So who was in your conference?
Yeah, so when I was at Clemson, I was in the ACC. So that was UNC, Virginia, Florida State, Miami, Miami, what else was it? Those are really, really top schools, Wake Forest. And then when I came to UCLA, we were in the Pac-12. So you have University of Southern California, you have University of California, Berkeley. You have Oregon, Colorado, Stanford.
Yeah.
Stanford. So those were the people in our conference. And, you know, every conference usually has like the top teams, the lower teams. But again, depending on where you are, you're gonna have to play everybody, especially towards the end. And you'll travel there. Every year it switches. So if, let's say we're playing Stanford this year at home, the next year you're gonna travel to Stanford and play them at their location. So you're constantly traveling. I would say during season, you're gone every weekend, pretty much.
Yeah.
You're playing every weekend. Sorry, not gone every weekend. You're playing every weekend. And depending on if it's like a travel year or kind of a home year, you could be gone for 3 or 4 weekends in a row. So that's when you really have to be focused on your school, because it can get really hard because you're never in class. And let's say if you play on Saturday, you'll probably leave on a Thursday or Friday. You don't come back until Monday. So yeah,
it's going to be a lot of studying on the road.
Yeah, definitely.
And so this ring that I'm showing, tell us about this ring a little bit. It's really pretty, by the way.
So in the last NCAA, so obviously last year there wasn't, they didn't have the season because of COVID, but the year before that I won the year-end national tournament. And with UCLA, they have a thing where you can design your own ring, which was super, super cool. So yeah, my partner and I designed that ring. It's pretty out there, so we don't really wear it anytime. It's kind of it's at home in like a case. But I mean, it doesn't have to be like that. You can, I mean, design a ring and be able to wear it every day, which in hindsight, I probably should have done. But but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty flashy, so I designed the ring with the most diamonds in it, and that's what I came up with. So that's what we have there.
So does your doubles partner have the same one?
The exact one.
The exact one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so with the thing with NCAA, like that tournament, it's really, really, really prestigious tournament, and it's absolutely life-changing to win. But the only thing is that I found out is usually if you're American and you win that tournament, you get a wild card to the US Open. If you're not American, you do not get the wild card.
Oh, no, I did not know that.
Yeah, so even my partner was American, I'm Canadian, but we didn't get the wild card. But what happens is a lot of the times, for example, in the last NCAAs, the men's winner, Paul Jubb, he's from Great Britain. He got the Wimbledon wild card. Mm-hmm. So it's a really, really, really big tournament to win. And a lot of the times the federations will, French Federation will maybe say, okay, well, maybe you'll get like a qualifying wild card to Roland Garros or something like that. So you definitely want to peak there and you want to try your best, because a lot of stuff does come from that.
Mm. And so, Ayan, you talked a little bit about your off season, your in season schedule, and what about turning pro? Do universities like UCLA encourage you to turn pro after graduation? Is it pretty realistic? And would you say it's pretty common to turn pro after going to such school?
Yeah. So there's a couple ways to do it. I think, Jenny. I think, for example, someone like Jenny didn't finish. So Jenny went after, I think she did 2 years. So the team, the team won NCAAs and then she called it and she turned pro. But it also, I would say it really depends on the person, because Jenny, for example, came in and her goal to the coaches, she told the coaches, I want to turn pro, help me become, the highest level I can be after this certain time so that I can go. And they were really good about it. Jenny she did the regular group practices, private. She was the type of person to come in and do extra work. She was watching what she ate. Like there's different ways about doing this whole college thing, but you're going to have to put in a lot of work to be able to, graduate and go right into the pros, because it is a different type of training. They're training you for consistency. They're training you for height over the net. They're training you for being able to just make a lot of balls, depending on the coach. But they're also training you to be cognizant of everybody around you. When you're playing pros, you're going on the court to finish your match, and you're going on the court to win your individual match. You're not focused on anybody else. So it's definitely a different level and a different mental aspect of training for college. So you have to kind of do both at the same time. I know one of my teammates, her name was Anna. She was playing one at UCLA, and she left after 2 years, and she just won Miami with doubles. So she's like 20 in the world after 2 years. So but she also was the type of person to come in for extra hits and to request more of the coaches. It wasn't just kind of doing what everyone else was doing. The people that go to school and then turn pro and do well turning pro, because you can turn pro and not do, make it. But the people that do make it, they weren't just doing what everybody else was doing. They were doing the extra stuff. And that's why they are where they are.
So they came in with a mentality of not just trying it out, but turning pro and doing everything they can while also getting the education.
Well, and the thing is, at that same time, you're getting free training, you're getting free fitness, you're getting free nutrition help. If you use it, there's so many different things that college provides. If you use it the right way, you will be successful. It's just making sure that you're taking everything in and you're using all the resources that's provided.
So what are you doing now that you graduated?
That's so funny. So right now it's so weird. So one thing about school, it opens so many doors for you. I promise, if you are open to meeting new people, you go to the little sessions, you go to everything. I mean, we had a career fairs, all these different things. You go to different things, you meet different people. So right now I'm actually in LA, I'm shooting a movie. It's this new movie for Venus and Serena with Will Smith. It's unbelievable. And yeah, but I thought that probably definitely because of, being out here in LA. So I've like, yeah. So, I mean, that's another thing. If you're looking to do something, a certain field, look at location. If you're trying to get into something entertainment wise, maybe look at California. If you're looking for something, if you're looking for some technology, maybe look at a certain place, because you meet different people. You don't know who's in the stands. I know sometimes at UCLA, some of the fans that I've met, some of them will help you with connections. They will help you with jobs. They will help you move on post-graduation. So you always want to kind of look at the big picture, look at location, and be very, very cognizant of who everyone is and how, people can help, because everyone does want to help you, So I am doing a movie right now in LA, and I'm enjoying it. I didn't know I would enjoy it this much, but I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. And that's what I'm doing right now.
So what part exactly do you play in the production of the movie?
So I'm doing all the tennis parts for Venus, actually.
Oh, wow. So you've met.
Yeah. So it's really
so
fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, looks like there's definitely a big academic perk to go into a big school like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some schools offer really good like for example, like University of Southern California. You go there, the connections are really, really good. The networking is really, really good. So you really have to kind of, I know it's really tough when you're going into school to be like, this is what I want to do with my life. I know it's really tough, but if you can kind of think of maybe like a 5-step plan or a 5-year plan of what you could potentially do, kind of write down different things that you might want to do, and then base that off of maybe what school you potentially could go to and kind of mesh those together. I think that would really help. And I would have liked to know that a lot more 4 years ago when I started. Yeah, 5 years ago.
Oh no, me too, trust me. Well, Ayan, thank you so much. This has been very insightful. I'm sure that everybody so far have learned a ton of new information. I did as well. So my last question for you would be, or I guess not question, but if you could give some advice to prospective student athletes, like what is there something that you'd like to say to them, to somebody who is going to start college in a year or two?
I know the typical thing is, enjoy it. It goes by fast, which it does. It really, really does go by really fast. I would say, honestly, use this experience to propel yourself for the rest of your life. Like whatever you really want or think you want to do, use it to your advantage, because if you kind of let it go by and you don't absorb everything, it's kind of a waste. There are so many people to meet, things to do. That's another thing. Do everything. Don't even do everything you can do. If there's, some type of fair, or there's some type of extra curricular that you can do, and you say you're a little bit tired, do it. Just go. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know what you're going to learn. You could meet someone that's going to propel you through life. You literally have no idea. So I would say do everything, take everything in, and make yes your new best friend. Don't say no very often to anything, because you never know what you're going to run into. That would be my biggest thing.
Wow. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I always say that to my clients, that you got to major in something that you love. So the 4 or 5 years that you spend there are enjoyable for you. And also, I mean, it's not, obviously it matters, the size and how big, and, the reputation of the university, but also what really matters is the connections that you make there, what your professors will say about you, what kind of resume you have. And I mean, if you have those, then I'm sure that you're all set and you will be employed and happy afterwards.
Definitely. And try and make a lot of friends. It doesn't just have to be your team. I think that's the mistake that I made early on. I was always about stick with the team and always just have fun with the team and dinner with the team. No, branch out, because you never know if, your friend in your English class could be a potential, like a dentist. You just never know what people are going to do with the rest of their lives. And if you kind of stay in this one box and just kind of stay around the athletes, it is fun at that moment. But at the end of the day, you didn't use all and meet everybody that you could possibly meet. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, Ayan, thank you so much. Everything from you has been so insightful, so helpful. I'm sure that everybody learned so much new information. I'm really grateful that you came and talked to me today. So thank you so much. I hope we can stay in touch for our future webinars.
For sure. Thank you, guys. See you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. All right, guys. So that's it. Thank you so much. I hope that everybody here enjoyed it as much as I did and learned a ton of new things. And if you have any questions at all about the webinar or about the college recruitment process, don't hesitate to message us on Instagram at College Beast, and I'll be happy to help you with any questions that you have. Again, thank you so much for being with us here today. Bye-bye.